This is Tylerriley, and this is the real Russellville. And y'all, I am with Shane. Shane, it's like you have got to understand the fact that you are on this show. I mean, you're infamous. You run an incredible radio station that we're going to dive into, but you have a brilliant story on how you got to where you are today.
Well, thank you. I mean, like you're leading me in here. I can tell like I'm getting a little flush right now. Yeah, you're very kind having me on. Yeah.
It was so funny, man. I was trying to think of like how have I known Shane? And I feel like I've known you forever. And that was not the case. You know, it's like I knew you so much better than you knew me.
Yeah, dude. And like I told you before, I think this is a testament to how seriously I take my job, is that I want it to feel, it actually takes a little bit of work for me to make sure that I deliver a product on the air that makes me feel friendly and welcoming into people. I'm in your car.
Yes.
I'm in your car, and that's a little creepy. It's a little creepy, but yeah.
It's true, and we listen to you every day, you know?
Thank you.
And it was, I remember one time when like a deer had ran against your truck, I remember wondering, I was like, I wonder if that's fixed, and my kids will all rubberneck as they go by the radio station to see.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, and when we met you, I guess I had the worst introduction of all time. I walked up to ask if I could meet Shane, not knowing I was talking to Shane.
Right. I was at a radio remote. My friend Greg, shout out to Greg Holbert, a very good friend of mine. We were actually at a remote, and you came up and you were like, "You guys are from the radio station, right? Is Shane here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think he's over there in that tent somewhere." No, man, don't walk away. That's me. Nice to meet you.
Well, the whole goal behind that was I was trying to get like Dad of the Year and get Shane to do a shout out saying my kids' names, and you came through clutch. You made me look like a hero.
Oh, dude, and I'm happy to. And I told you this before too, and I say it all the time.
Yeah.
I love telling kids happy birthday, especially with like the prevalence of the internet and stuff is in all these kids' pockets. And not to get too much in the weeds, but I love brightening kids' days. And I mean, that's very important to me. Not just being a dad, but I just like to make kids smile.
Man, and you do such a brilliant job of it, you know, and ultimately, like, you've done a good job of that probably every place you've lived as you have grown up, right?
Yeah.
So knowing a little bit about your story, Hector, Russellville, Atkins, River Valley guy, you've lived all of those places. How do you think that shaped you to be who you are that we know and love today?
Yeah, well, first of all, it gave me an appreciation for the geography of this place. The natural state is just that. So natural, so awesome in the different biomes, I guess you could say. The rivers, the streams, the mountains, the forests. It gave me a great appreciation for the outdoors, conservation. And my son and my older son and daughter ended up being scouts. And so, that helped me sort of push them that direction. Like, yeah, get into scouts, pursue that. And so thankfully, pat myself on the back again, I've got a Gold Award daughter and a Eagle Scout older son.
Man, that's like the highest stuff that you can rock and roll on those.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And we'll stick to that. Yeah, for that question, yeah, absolutely. A great appreciation for the outdoors.
You know, loving the outdoors, obviously athletics were part of your whole thing. Mm-hmm. How has the early days of where you have fallen in love with the outdoors, with fishing and hiking and going through all of I know candle making is part of the Scouts, going through all of those things, how do you connect those things to a life as an adult in the River Valley?
Is just respect. Yeah. Respect. You have a respect for the animals, the birds, the fish, and nature. You can have respect for people like in an interview setting, and it helps you stay in tune with people that you're talking to like this. Yeah, absolutely.
So to jump into, and I promised the world we were going to get into your story, but you played a variety of sports, from t-ball to football, you musicianally inclined. How do you have the time to do any of the extra stuff that you do?
I simply do not. Simply do not. The whole, like, I like to, I mean, if I decide I'm going to do something, it's a full send. And I may not ever do it again, but I want to be super good at it. And which is funny because I wasn't the greatest athlete, but I did try. I mean, if we want to laundry list them, t-ball, you know, baseball, football, golf, military hand-to-hand. I did a little bit of that.
Oh, let's go.
Muay Thai, judo, some traditional kickboxing. What else? I mean, bago, disc golf, you name it. I want to try everything I can because I have a great competitive spirit, and that goes way back. Not my dad's side of the family, all athletes. My uncles, all athletes, and sportsmen as well. So yeah, if I'm going to get into a sport that's, you know, got a little competition, something like that, I want it to be a full send. Like, I want to get into it.
We're going to be the best at it.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do it and go all in.
Yeah.
What's really kind of cool to think about is there wasn't just like one thing that you had mentioned. You've been able to find all of those things and can compete at some type of level just being in the area.
Yeah. And, you know, I wasn't a starter in football because I played baseball and I was in a garage band and the marching band in school through junior high. And then, yeah, I didn't get into high school football. I didn't start playing until the off season between 9th and 10th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. And I really had no physique whatsoever to speak of. So I knew I wasn't going to compete immediately. But when I got in the weight room, I went from power cleaning. So it's like the weights at your feet and you snatch it up and stand up with it. What I can say is that from the fall of 9th grade, when I started power cleaning 140 pounds, the fall of 10th grade, I maxed at 215.
Oh, man.
And so that's just a testament to, like, if I may not do something a second time, but if I'm going to do it, I want to full send it.
Because you'd probably taken that whole competitive spirit to full send through all the sports that you were in, even getting in football late. Yeah. Probably taught you, like, your competitive drive that you had learned.
Yeah.
That you're going to make up the ground.
Yeah, if you're going to compete,
you're going to do something.
Especially football in the, like, late 90s, early 2000s, that was before targeting. That was before horse collar tackles.
Yeah, it was real deal, kind of different.
It was real deal.
Yes.
Yeah. It's dog eat dog out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, our offense, we didn't throw the ball.
Right.
So it was all, I mean,
hammer down.
2 tight ends, 3 running backs, and the quarterback under center. It's called the dead T. I mean, it's a formation as old as the game of football.
Started it.
100%. 3, and its testament is 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Right?
And so
you were either going to get tackled or you were going to make it to the end zone.
100%. And we had some, you know, when I started, we had already had kids that had been playing for a while.
Right.
Shout out to Eric Small, Tyler Talkington, Joe Lazarotti, some fantastic athletes that we played with. Matt Huffman, I know you're watching this. These guys were actual athletes where I was a part-time athlete. But these guys were established as players coming into senior high football, coming into 9th, 10th grade. And so I didn't get much playing time behind those guys. Right. But within a year, you know, I was running down on kickoff. I was running in some plays with starting defense.
Sure.
And getting to carry the ball a little bit behind the starting line. An absolute blast, but very physical. So to be as short as I am, I only go about 5'7", 5'6", maybe. Depending on the brand of shoe, I guess. But yeah, you gotta be strong. You gotta be physical, and you gotta like a little bit of contact. So yeah.
You know, it's so funny because you go from high contact sports, marching band, which that's kind of a different dynamic.
Let's go.
And then we're jumping into a garage band.
Yeah, dude.
What instrument did you play that transitioned through all of these things?
When I started in band, you know, you try out in like 6th grade, I think.
Yes. It's still the same way.
6th grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started out 6th grade. The line was too long to try out for drums. Because, you know, everybody wants to be a drummer.
Everybody wants to be a drummer.
So I didn't even get in line to try out for the drums. But I did try out for the larger brass instruments, and came kind of natural to me, I guess, because I'm so long-winded, maybe. I don't know. But I started with trombone. That's what I started playing in band. I played trombone. I was not very good. But one day, another story just to add to the line of things that like, I'm just going to do this.
Sure.
I've never done, I'm just going to do this. I picked up some tri-toms. So it's just 3 marching drums. And I just put it on one day in practice. And I started looking at the music. I learned our cadence. And then they were like, well, we got a guy playing tri-toms. Do you want to try to play the quads? The quad toms was 4 drums.
4 drums,
and so I picked it up. And the end of that school year, so it would have been my 9th or 10th grade year, before I started football, I was playing in our pep band at the pep rallies.
So you just kind of found a way, like, avoid the sign-up line,
right?
And then just take somebody's spot down the road.
We're just going to go around.
Hey, yeah, you're not playing this right now. I got you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I marched playing the cadence with quad toms. Some kids that already played music, played guitar. They had a bass player, rhythm guitar, and then a guy that was their vocalist that played bass part time. They saw me play. I can't even remember the song, but I remember the part I was playing, and it had a solo like quad sound off on it. And so I'm playing in front of the whole school at a pep rally, and they came up later that day and was like, "Hey, we need a drummer. Have you ever played like a kit?" I was like, "Nah, but I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'll come check it out." And
this is kind of before like Google and YouTube, really, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, you couldn't go watch 100 different videos to figure out how to walk into it.
I don't even think YouTube was even a thing until maybe 2 years later.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was before like the prevalence of the internet at the very least, and so I had to learn by ear. I learned one rhythm.
You only need one.
You only need one. And everything I learned how to play after that was kind of a spin-off of that rhythm. And here that was 25 years ago or something.
Oh, man, that is absolutely
I ended up playing with a
incredible.
band that we traveled a little bit. You know, I did a gig. Well, do you remember Juanita's in Little Rock?
Yes, absolutely.
I played a gig at the old Juanita's on the original stage that Aerosmith played on.
And that's kind of like historical.
It's
the
very
Juanita
historical
stuff.
The old school Juanita's awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. When Edge Fest was a thing too.
That's right.
The musicians would just walk in there. Well, I was down there hanging out with some of my friends. I'd actually broken my ankle, so I was at a heavy metal show in a wheelchair. And I'm dead serious. This is a very real story. My wife is somewhere on a phone watching this interview going,
that was him. Yeah.
And so I'm at a heavy metal show in a wheelchair. John Five, the guitarist that was playing with Rob Zombie at the time, just walked in. And it was like one of those things like when a predator swims through a school of bait fish where everybody goes, just as he's walking through with this aura, like he was like floating.
It's a big deal, him being
Flyleaf
there.
used to be a big thing.
Yes.
Fantastic vocalist. Ashley walked in while we were hanging out at Juanita's. Edge Fest was in town. And these stars were just like walking in. Like, what is even Arkansas? Nobody's going to know who I am. We definitely knew who they were.
And so were you thinking to yourself, coming up from, the River Valley, playing at a place at Juanita's when Juanita's was a really relevant thing at that time? Mm-hmm. Were you like, okay, guys, are we going to take this overseas?
Yeah,
is this our career?
Yeah, at the time, I had a full-time gig working like a manual labor job.
Yeah.
The guys they used to be First Place was the name of this band before I started. And my friend Nattel Eichelberger, he's a fantastic guitarist, great promotional guy. And he's been playing music forever here locally.
Right.
He and his wife at the time started this band. And once again, I was just working with them at this warehouse job. And they were like, "Hey, are you that kid, the new kid? Don't you play drums or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I play drums. We're looking for a drummer. Do you want to come practice?" And then I ended up playing with them for like 2 or 3 years. And we traveled. We played gigs in Fayetteville, Little Rock. We traveled to Maryland. We played a gig outside of Baltimore, Maryland once. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And you didn't even stand in the drummer line to start it.
Right, 100%. I went around the line.
And now you're traveling out of state to go.
Slinging cases. And they were like, "You want to play drums?" Sure, man.
In true Shane fashion, you go all in with everything, right?
Yes, sir.
Including starting a family. Shane, a lot of people, man, I know this is going to resonate with the people that are watching it. You know, life is told in chapters. And
Yes.
at 19, you found out that you had this new chapter of life where you were going to be a dad.
I was going to be a dad, right? Yeah. Just, I mean, still a kid myself.
Yeah.
Raising a kid. And, you know, it makes you grow up. You don't have a choice.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
you don't have a choice. You cannot be in that kid's life. And again, like my grandmother on my mom's side, she has always ran a daycare there in Hector. And my Mimi brought me up around other kids, having respect for all ages of kids growing up. And that's probably foundationally why I love to be around kids, make kids laugh and stuff so much. But yeah, Riley was born, and I remember rent was $250 in my apartment at the time, 1-bedroom apartment. And it was like, well, guess what? Like, you have to grow up. You don't have a choice. If you're going to be in this kid's life and you want this kid to be successful,
That's right.
you know, you got to man up. And so I was there as best I knew how at 19. And now she's a sophomore at Arkansas Tech. Yeah.
Oh man, you know, I mean, your kids now, and I know you'll kind of dive into it as we kind of go through this, but they really are doing amazing things, right?
Yes.
You got 2 at Arkansas Tech University. You've got one that is like I feel like I need to get his autograph now, and I don't know how and what I would have him sign. But talk about famous people running in the family. I mean, he's really on a path to kind of do some incredible things in the soccer world.
He is. So to speak to the awesomeness of my older kids first, Claude. Claude is a very unique character. So funny. Shares my love of music and my love of comedy. This dude, he's working a full-time job now, and he's working on a software programming certification at Arkansas Tech.
Oh, that's incredible.
And then my daughter, and he's the one that's the Eagle Scout as well.
That's right.
Good dude. And my older daughter, Riley, that I had at 19 that we were talking about, she is in the parks and recreation. Like, she wants to be a park interpreter. She wants to go into the business of recreation. And I'm like, let's go. Yeah. Send it. And she's so smart and so independent. And I'm so proud of her too. Getting to Bo, my youngest son. Yes, he is. Thankfully, I was not the greatest student. This kid, he rarely makes a B, and it just doesn't seem like he's trying. And I'm like, how? It's like a superpower for me. I look at this kid and I'm like, you are a superhuman. You're superhuman. This kid, and he's my biological son, and he gets it legitimately. He's 6'2". This kid. What happened? Fun fact: I have a maternal great-great-grandfather that was 7 feet tall.
Okay.
So I don't want to hear nothing about, like, okay, I'm a short guy, but I got it somewhere in here is a 7-footer.
Somewhere. The DNA is there.
Right. The DNA is there. The DNA is there. And my wife, you know, she's got tall men on her side of the family, so he was bound to get tall, I guess. But to Bo Bonham, I'm a drummer. I named him after John Bonham, the drummer for Led Zeppelin. Oh. So pedigree there to be famous. Like, I don't know. But yeah, he is a better than average soccer player that is a phenomenal scholar athlete. Yeah. He's a great leader, very cool-headed. He's got blonde hair, like down to here.
Kids are so weird with their hairstyles now, man.
It's wild.
It's just as ugly, honestly, like as ugly as you can grow it. You know, just bowl top the bangs, shave the sides.
With a mullet in the back or something, like, stop.
It's awful.
What are we doing?
You know, but if you don't have it, you're not part of it.
Right.
You know, trends change.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm doing the best I can with what I got these days. So,
you know, your kids kind of seem like they kind of got some of the best things out of you. You know, you talked about your love for the outdoors and what you've been able to enjoy. You've got one that's looking at parks, tons of state parks around the area. You're a tech guy. You know, you know all of those inner workings, and now you got somebody doing software.
Yeah.
The athleticism that comes out. Now you've got a kid with the athleticism. And that, man, as a dad, you've got to be so proud when you see some of the things that you've done in your kid's life kind of come together and be something that they care about.
Yeah. I just wanted them to have it easier than me, being like the guy that's just into it, like all over the place with the attention span, with the everything all over the place all the time. I wanted my kids to be able to enjoy the things that I've enjoyed, but also to have a little bit more focus than I had, and have some devotion to a craft. And I can thank my wonderful wife, Heather, for that. Let me tell you, I have lived 10 lifetimes in the 40 years I've been on this planet.
Yes.
My wife is the one that dials me in.
Yes.
Here's what has to be done. Here's how you can do it. Here's what you're good at. It's just like radio. When we're talking to a client, here's what you do well. Here's what you can do better. Now let's craft a message about that. My wife keeps me focused like that. Here's what you do well. Here's what you need to do better. Now let's dial in. And yeah.
How long have y'all been married?
17 years.
17 years.
We dated for a month. I'm serious. I'm serious.
You were not joking. When you have something you want, you just go all in for it.
Yeah,
unless the band line, and then you just walk around it and pick up a drum.
Right. I didn't want to cut corners with the marriage thing. So
yeah.
Even though I guess I kind of did. If we only dated for a month, we kind of fast tracked.
Sounds like you knew it. You were like, I'm gonna marry this girl.
I proposed to her. We'd been dating, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks. And we were down in the River Market. We were going to the piano bar, singing and stuff. And we came out of the bar, and I said, I didn't even officially like propose. I said, like, I've been thinking about like, maybe like I should have just married you on the spot. Something to that effect. Like, I've been thinking about marrying you like already. We've only been dating 2 or 3 weeks now. I don't want to sound creepy, but like, I should have just married you already. She was walking kind of to my side, and she stopped, and we were in the middle of the road in the River Market. And I turned around and I was like, did I scare you? Like, I mean, scary or anything? She was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I think we should get married. And we got married in Hot Springs just a couple weeks later. And we've been married for 17 years.
Oh my goodness, man. And through the things that you've been able to do, how would you say, knowing that she's going to be honest enough to tell you what she loves and what you need to stay away from?
Right.
How has that changed where you felt confident to pursue professional opportunities or business ventures? How is that?
It's because of her structure. It's because of her, like, she is so structured and so taking care of everyone else. Here's the schedule for the week. Here's the meals for the week. Even though I do most of the cooking, she lines everything out, Here's the budget for the week. Here's this. And so much structure. She's like a walking, talking calendar, schedule book, but super hot. So there's that. But she keeps me dialed in. Yeah. She keeps me, like, structured. And I don't think I would have been able to get into professional service, musician. She even managed my band for a couple of months. Dead serious. We had a bar that we were going to play, that we had an underage keyboard player in our band. Yeah. And this bar served alcohol, and they were like, she's only like 18. We're not going to, like, she can't come in. And so Heather goes inside with the bar manager and their staff manager, this other girl. She goes in there. She's in there 5 minutes. I'm not even kidding you. And I'm calling my dad. I'm like, hey, dude, we're going to come home. I'll come get Riley, da-da-da. I don't think we're going to play She comes back out. She's like, load up. Get inside. They're going to let us come in. So it's her structure. It's her devotion. She's a healthcare worker, a healthcare provider. And so me in manual labor gigs, putting her through nursing school or helping her get through nursing school. She did the hard work. When she finishes her degree, she finishes her bachelor at Tech in nursing, and she's like, if you want to get like a formal education, now's the time. And so I went to a professional bartending school, got that done, started making some money. She decides a few years later she's going to go back and get her master's. Okay. And she's like, if you want to get a real formal education, now is the time. So she started primary care practice here locally, and I went and got my business degree. And so we are yin and yang.
Yeah, y'all, even though you kind of started your life with a family before you were able to have all the means to get to a family, it sounded like y'all just were kind of this power duo that figured out how to blend everybody together and how to put this, you know, the future goals in place.
Yeah, she was a young single parent as well.
Yeah.
And so it was a yours, mine, and ours, and we were off and running. Yeah, it was awesome.
Man, that
awesome
is
stuff.
incredible. So
it still is.
That's led you to probably where everybody gets to hear you in the morning show.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you land on the radio?
It's insane. And I credit all my success on the air to the COVID-19 pandemic. So
really?
That's a very real thing. So my good friend Hope Adair, if she's watching, another good friend of mine, fantastic on-air talent when she was there. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, I was in sales in the radio station. Right, first job out of college. Now, I mean, I was in my 30s already, but my first
real job,
big kid job.
Yeah,
big kid job. So I was in sales, and I don't know if you know anything about the COVID-19 pandemic, but people don't necessarily want to meet you and have you talk about selling them something. So while I believed in radio and still do, because it's slowly just kind of transitioning to streaming service, there was just not, you can't convince someone how great something is over Zoom. Like, it's really hard to anyways.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Hope Adair moved on from the radio station, I had done a couple like voices and commercials, like very, very minimal things, but I had a confidence in a delivery, that full send kind of mentality that, like, if you're going to do this, just send it, dude.
Go all in.
Just go all in. So that's what I did. And I did that, you know, on the air. I guess it translated into the few commercials that I did do. And so they said, well, we have an opening morning drive on Quick. You're like a short, approachable, like, you know, cheek pinchers love you. That's kind of the demographic for Quick. And so the family, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll try it. Yeah. Minimal training, just mirroring Johnny's story.
You were on a very short leash.
Yeah,
they were like, we'll let you put a toe in the pond here.
Right. Talk for 30 to 60 seconds at a time. And I had a sticker on my prep computer. Excuse me. I had a sticker on my prep computer that said, say as little as possible, if that. And it was on my prep computer for like the whole first year of my doing the morning drive. Yeah. No background music. I just flipped the switch and I was just kind of in an echo chamber. Hey, you know, the sun's shining, and hey, how about the airline food? Okay, see you later. And then that was kind of it. Very vanilla, like very. And so after a little bit of training and getting my confidence up on the air, you know, Shane started coming out.
Yes.
This full send kind of, can you believe what Elon Musk did today? Can you believe it's National Fruit Cake Day? Like,
that's right.
Insane. And so I just sent it. So after that, like, first year, I started finding some background music that matched kind of the segments I wanted to do. And I set up the morning show, and that's now 2025 will be my 4th year on the air. So, yeah.
Oh, man, it's funny how COVID did change people's lives.
100%.
And it kind of placed you in an opportunity that you may not have gotten otherwise.
100%. If it was not for the openings and the changing of society completely, all those stars ended up aligning, and here we are.
Oh. All right, let's dive into your personal growth, okay? So you have been open about overcoming really challenges, getting a family started earlier, figuring out, you know, what you want to do in the long term, getting your college and then working your way into a profession. How has all of those hurdles, you think, prepared you to be a father?
Showing my kids what not to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be open with your kids. You have so many parents, and you're a fantastic father, but there are some, I feel, parents out there that don't feel like they can talk with their kids.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Ask them, like, what's going on.
That's right.
Tell them there is no wrong answer.
Yes.
until there is. Just go out there, send it kind of like Dad did, but maybe stay a little more dialed in than that. But talk to your kids. Have conversations with your kids. Be open with them. Talk to them like from the beginning. I remember very clearly my wife and I agreeing that just like we're not going to baby talk to our kids. Since our kids were crawling, we talk to them just like we're talking
like
now.
Adults. Yes.
Right. We just lower the, we kind of dumb down the vocabulary. Yeah. But then they spoke pretty clear.
Yes.
Pretty early. And they ended up, of course, being like successful. But we're open with them. When we're struggling with something, your kids will look to you and be like Dad's struggling or Mom's struggling. They may see you cry sometimes. They may see you tensed up sometimes. But if you say, I'm feeling like this, Dad is feeling like this. And I haven't always been open about that. I really haven't been that just fully open with my kids. But as they're getting older, I can tell them more things. We can have more straight conversations like this. Right. But going back to the beginning, it has been all about tell your kids, just talk to your kids, man. Talk to your kids. Don't isolate them. Don't let tablets and tablets and smartphones and social media raise your kids, especially when they're having a bad day. That's the time to press in or give them space or something. But there's got to be, you have to be able to define what's happening. Talk with your kids openly. And
it gets hard because it's like your kids get a little bit older. They start, you feel that teen years, they really do pull away. Mm-hmm. And I've even been guilty of it where I'm Googling questions. I'm like, hey, what can I ask my daughter? And it say things like, who did you eat lunch with today? Yeah. Instead of saying like, how was your day? Yeah. Try to open it up where you can have a little bit more meaningful conversations, man.
And if I don't, press my kids a little bit, it'll be just like any other kid. All kids are different, but they're all having pretty much the same day at public school. So they'll get in the car and they'll want to pull their phone out. And now my older kids, have they're doing their own thing, driving their own cars. But like if my 14-year-old's getting in the car and I go, "How's your day, man?" "Fine." And then he's scrolling like ESPN stats from whatever football game he missed or whatever. But I'll say, "Hey, man, put your phone down for a second." I saw on social media, or I saw on the school's Facebook posted like, y'all had a fire drill today or something like that. What'd you have to do? Open-ended question, not yes or no questions. Open-ended.
So smart.
What'd you have to do? What did you have to do? Oh, well, we went outside. Did everybody have to go outside? Did you, and I'm not like grilling them, but I'm asking them questions so they'll respond with something other than, bruh. Yeah. Press in a little bit.
Really kind of having an awareness of their life. I mean, that going, seeing if their school posts something and then asking them something about that. Yeah. That is such a relevant conversation that can be open to, get that dialogue and get those that dialogue kids going. Yeah. Man, that is so smart to think of it.
Yeah. What it is it's something I didn't have a lot of.
Sure.
And a lot of who I am today has been learned through trial and error. I'm not like this prolific talent or something like that. I've just done so much and I've failed so much. But when I find something new I think I'm good at, send it.
Go all in.
100%. Yeah. And that's the attitude I want my kids to have. I just don't want them to fail.
Yes.
Ever. Ever.
Well, you only fail if you give up, right?
If you give up, then it's a failure.
So, as long as they have that same mentality.
I'll tell you this. A very good friend of mine and a prolific psychologist here locally, Dr. Faulkner here in town, he told me that you can't fail if it's an experiment. If everything new is an experiment, scientists can't fail an experiment. They can just keep sciencing. So that's the attitude I try to attack anything new, any obstacle, anything that could pass or fail,
Yeah.
It's an experiment. Let's just have an experiment. Yeah.
Shane, you've done absolutely so many things, outdoor lives, sports. You've played all the sports, done all the musical things, traveled, raising and married to had just a brilliant family, Shane. What's next for you?
What's next for me? Oh my gosh. Every day is a new day for me, so it's tough to.
You're like, wait, tomorrow is grilled cheese day.
Tomorrow is that, yeah. I want to do more filming in the outdoors. I would like to have my own outdoor content that highlights, not from like a professional fisherman standpoint, but an actual, what's the outdoors look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like to be from here and consume things that live and grow here? And how does that make me feel? And what is it going to look like for my kids? So like outdoor content is probably the next big thing for me, probably.
And I mean, talk about not even having to drive 20 minutes to see something that people all over the states come to see right here in our backyard. Even with like Lake Dardanelle State Park, Bonadilla, Mount Magazine, Mount Pettigene, and then the Buffalo National River. I mean, you have endless amounts of things that are all around us.
Yes, absolutely. And a place very close to my heart, Hot Springs. Yeah. All the waterways down there.
That's right.
And the natural springs there. And just the outdoors here in Arkansas, very special to me. Very special to me. And in my line of work, if I could press in and press in and press in and do the next big thing and the next big thing and go to a bigger radio station, do the next big thing, it might take me to a place that's not as cool as this place is out of doors.
Oh, man.
I don't want to get too far from it.
No, it's home, right?
Yeah, it's home. Yeah.
Well, Shane, I could not thank you enough for coming and talking with us today. Hey, if you want to hear more about Shane's story, listening to him on the morning show, I'll tag his Facebook page so you can follow it directly. And Shane, you have been awesome.
Thanks so much, Tyler. You're pretty awesome yourself, dude.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Bye.